Hello and welcome to Double Talk. I'm Mark Steffen, and on today's show we're doing something a little bit different. My co-host Michael Mandel will be joining me for the second half of the program. But right now I'm joined by two people involved in a production of William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, which opens this month right here in Las Cruces. And joining me is Hilary McDaniel Douglas, who's the co-producer, director of the play, and David Edwards, who's one of the principal actors in it. Thank you for joining me right here on Double Talk.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
When is the show opening?
It's opening the 8th.
March 8th.
March 8th.
It runs for 6 performances, correct?
2 weekends. So
2 weekends.
March 8th, 9th, 10th, and the 15th, the following weekend, which is the 15th, 16th, and 17th. Each show is at 7 o'clock, even though right there in the middle is daylight savings time change on Sunday, Sunday the 10th.
So we hope people don't show up late.
Right.
For the next show. Now, there's something unusual about this. Actually, I think there's several things unusual about this production. One of which, it takes place in an old cotton gin. Now, how did that come to pass?
We found the cotton gin on the corner of Compress and Hadley through a friend of ours. It's the old Harvey cotton gin, and it's a steel truss building that is about 45 feet tall. So it's perfect for what we do, which is
aerial work.
That's right.
That's the other thing that makes it unusual as a play, so to speak. So what is the aerial concept all about here?
Well, I think that there's actually been a lot of aerial work, and Midsummer has been done many times with aerial, but aerial has transitioned in the 20th century. So we are using fabric, and the ferries are actually climbing. There are Project in Motion company members. They do speak, they do have lines, and there are also several cast members, the ferries, Oberon and Titania, that are aloft, so they are up in the air.
And we have some photographs of people doing that aerial work hanging from big shards of fabric. How did that aerial concept of doing that come about in the first place? You've come to town recently with Project in Motion, and that's really the first I had heard of it.
Yeah, well, actually, we've been doing this for 6 years in this area.
Right.
No.
Just the whole concept of people going up and down on big sheets, basically.
How did it come about? Do you want the history of
well,
the development? Because I can tell you that. Because in the 20th century and through the First and Second World War, they have been making climbing equipment lighter and lighter and more so that your everyday Joe can use it. That wasn't, of course, their purpose. Right. But as that equipment got lighter and lighter and more available, more people got a hold of it. It made circus work a lot easier, a lot more normal people to facilitate it. Mm-hmm. And they made nylon rope. So what we use is basically nylon fabric, which is weight tested the same way that nylon rope is. So it's just as strong and sturdy as climbing a rope.
Okay. My only experience with people, going up and down fabric was when guys would escape from prison on their bed sheets tied together.
I think people have been climbing curtains for ages.
Okay. And in this production, we're using that technique quite a bit in this William Shakespeare production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. The fairies and the denizens of the enchanted forest utilize this as a means of travel, vertical travel, and swinging back and forth. So it's going to be highly unusual for Las Cruces audiences to see this, and I'm excited about that. David, you're in the production. You play a couple of parts in this, really.
I do.
You transform?
I do. I play Bottom, the Weaver, who is in the play within a play. Yes. that they're producing for the Duke's wedding. You're also a member of the little theater company that's getting ready to put on the.
That's true. I should say, in all fairness, I am also in this production, and David and I work in scenes together
Full
which
disclosure.
I'm looking forward to. Full disclosure.
That's right.
We cast Mark because we were going to be on the show.
And I said the only way you could be on the show is if you cast me, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
So Dave and I have been rehearsing together a lot. And I know you actually transform into an animal
I do.
right before our very eyes.
I do. I Puck, the mischievous
that's
sprite.
Puck.
He's a rascal. He affixes an ass's head to my head.
Yes.
So I have the head of a donkey at one point. And I don't think it's giving away too much to say that he is such a hunk that the Queen of the Fairies falls in love with him.
Yes.
The Queen of the Fairies, played by Brittany Stout, who is also Ariel born. So Brittany came and climbed with us. Several of the cast members have. And she is going to be aloft and flying in the production, which is kind of exciting. And also, he mentioned Puck. Alex Zolnerich came in and has apprenticed with us for 2 months. And he is doing the full-out aerial dance, so he's really gotten to be quite good. And
Now, how large a cast is this play?
there are about 28 people involved, so it's pretty big.
Does that count all the little fairies running around?
Yeah, pretty much, yep. Oh, the little tiny ones? No.
Those are extra.
Those are extra.
Like 6 of those or something, right?
There's 6 of
Something
them,
like
Oh,
that.
okay.
the little
Yeah.
tiny fairies.
Right, so it's really quite a large cast. It's written that way, and actually you've doubled up on certain roles, so normally it might even be larger.
Yeah.
And after Midsummer Night, now this is a production, it's produced by Project in Motion,
Yes.
and Project in Motion is the aerial company.
Yeah. It's an aerial modern dance company. It's been in existence for about almost 15 years now.
And why did you choose this particular play to incorporate all this in?
Well, Dave and I spoke about doing this because it's the ultimate aerial play, really. And when I was thinking about it, I wanted to do, it's just a crowd pleaser. People love it. The fairies obviously fly. I mean,
Right.
it's really hard to present them on the ground. There's something missing.
true.
There's that whole 3/4 of the stage that's not being occupied by the dance.
Right.
And we talked about it, and I thought, well, gosh, should we do The Tempest or something more substantial? Or, it is a little bit meatier, The Tempest, I think. But
Midsummer really lends itself to this approach.
It does.
Absolutely. And I
It
just
does.
think it's fascinating to think about. I first saw Project in Motion when I was working at the Rio Grande Theater, and we had a couple of their productions
Right.
done at the Rio Grande Theater, and I just was totally just blown away by the spectacle, the athleticism, the grace, and it's the people that are involved in doing this are such athletes in my view that then it's just so graceful and beautiful to watch, I think, and I just think it lends itself perfectly to Midsummer, I think.
Now, once this play is over, does Project in Motion have future plans for Las Cruces?
oh yeah, I mean, we've been doing productions we generally have a season. This season we did dramatic air, so we did 3 different types of plays. And this is kind of the culmination, so it is the biggest production this year.
Now, Project in Motion hasn't always been in Las Cruces.
We go back and forth. So we are here and in the Midwest as well. But we have such a great following here. All the dancers that are here some of them have been here with us several years.
Right.
Stephen Pahuski toured with us in, I think it was 2009. And now he is playing Mustard Seed in this production, and he's great. He rocks. He's just, a climbing king. Plus, he's a dancer on the ground. And so you kind of have to have that combination of people that they're willing to put the time in climbing because they really have to know what they're doing to be safe. And they have the grace on the ground and the skill. So,
Well, it's quite a visual thing to see, and this play has a lot of humor in it. It's one of his light play. I guess it's considered a comedy. And a lot of people might have seen Cirque du Soleil, and this might remind them of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's much more approachable than Cirque du Soleil. And keeping in mind also that Cirque du Soleil is a product of Canada, and the Canadian subsidied was for a good long time, and they have a very, very large budget. I mean,
yes.
An astronomically large budget. So this is like, you know, this is, it's not a no-budget production, because we do try and keep our company, you know, so that they can train sufficiently. But it's substantially smaller. It's more down to earth, you know, approachable, and people really like that. You know, and we get the local team in there, like Dave Edwards, and we've got a fantastic cast. And the thing that I love about it is I'm a co-director with David Allington, who's coming in from Manhattan, Kansas, and I get to see one side of it, which is the aerial and the dancers. I'm trying to get their acting ability out. Then I have this whole other set of people that I meet, which is the actors. And last night we put them together. The actors were just cracking the dancers up. I mean, they were just funny. The mechanicals, it was wonderful. The dancers were just a wonderful spectacle. The actors had no idea that this was going on.
Right.
You put them together and you're just like, wow, what a combination.
It is a great combination. Now, you're not charging an arm and a leg either to come and see the production.
We can't really in Las Cruces.
That's true. You're charging $10 admission, which is, well, that's less than what the university charges for, I think, sometimes lesser productions than this is going to be. So there's no excuse not to come see it. Even if you're not a big fan of Shakespeare, this might make you one, because it's got elements that you don't normally see in Shakespearean productions. You'll see people on stage doing things that normally they only do in movies. They never go vertical very often on stage. So 6 performances. There's no chance of being able to hold it over? Say if the crowds are such?
It's not in our schedule. We have an upcoming summer tour of something that Dave probably saw. I don't know if you saw the Palace at Night, which is going to tour through northern New Mexico, Colorado, and back into Indiana in the summertime. So we'll be doing that. But who knows?
One more weekend, maybe.
We'll see. Maybe.
Think that's possible?
If we can, I don't know. It's just
He's
so in demand.
Yeah,
well, he's in from the coast.
Yeah, well, you know, the left coast.
I love to see the versatility of Dave Edwards, and that's really exciting. The last production I saw him in was When You Coming Back, Red Rider. I hear rumors that he may have been on some television program here and there, and now you get to see him as Bottom, which is the quintessential. I mean, it's the dream role, isn't it?
It is. Well, I mean, I played Puck in 1973. At New Mexico State, and that was like at the time the best summer of my life, you know. And now that I'm well past my Puck time frame, I'm more into the Bottom area now.
But still with that impish gleam in your eye.
Right.
Well, I always knew you could play an animal.
I know. Oh, and nice of you to say just animal and not the other A word.
And it's a great role model for these kids that are up and coming in the arts, you know, of how to really go about it. And that's what I get from these actors. They don't have a big ego going on. They're hardworking. Eric Young plays Oberon. He's just been, you know, texting me. Well, so what if I do this? What if I, you know? There's all sorts of questions
associated. He's got a large part, isn't he?
Yes,
he plays the Duke.
Yes, he plays Theseus and
yes.
And David Allington and I both felt that we wanted to ground the fairies and the magic in reality, that there was a little, and that's kind of what we're doing. We're kind of like, you walk into a cotton gin, and all of a sudden there's like,
fantastic.
You're kidding.
Plus you've incorporated college students as well. We're out of time. Thank you both for joining me. We look forward to Las Cruces coming to see the play, and I look forward to you coming to see us. Thank you. We're going to wrap it up for this segment, and Michael and I will be right back after these words.
Welcome to La Buena Vida Women's Club, located away from the crowds but close to home. Come in throughout the day for Jazzercise, the world's dance fitness leader for nearly 40 years. Treat yourself to a relaxing massage, or unwind in the lounge area or outside on the balcony with friends. La Buena Vida Women's Club, located and designed with women in mind. For information, call Diane at 650-9721.
Hey, you, come here. Do you want to know the news? The Lost Cruises channel is now on 7 days a week, so keep it right here.
Celebrate, celebrate, Fiesta Motors.
Come and see us today and discover why our service is second to none. In business for over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, we do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there.
Celebrate, Fiesta Motors, where buying a car is always a celebration.
And we're back. This is Double Talk. I'm Mark Steffen.
Well, I'm not back. I'm here for the first time because the first half was Dave and Hillary. So that was pretty good. And you're in this play as well. You actually memorize lines rather than ad lib. I can't believe that.
Well, that's the idea. It's harder to ad lib Shakespeare than
it's
maybe.
Hard to ad lib Shakespeare. That's why I was wondering how it's written all down your arm, right?
Well, I can't give away all my secrets.
I am looking forward to this just to see you actually do something theatrical.
But I want to see.
Pleasure.
Would you like to be my cue card boy?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
Yes, I could be your cue ball.
And so, yes,
and so this is starting this Friday.
It's coming up this Friday, and we look forward to seeing that. Come on down to the old Cotton Gin.
The old one.
Cotton, yeah, down there in Hadley and Compress Road. It's really cool in there. It's going to be transformed into an enchanted forest.
What about people who have allergies to cotton? Would they be okay?
There hasn't been cotton in there for years now.
Just gin.
No, the cotton gins are all gone. The cotton, and all the equipment was one. There's two gins, one across the street from the other.
Yeah.
And all the ginning equipment from one got sent down to Peru, and the equipment from the one we're using went down south somewhere.
Wow. I find it kind of amazing to be having your actors hanging in the air doing stuff and staying alive. Well, I mean, I don't care how long you've been doing this stuff. At some point, you forget your lines and you forget to hold on.
Well, last night, actually, somebody hit their head on the way down.
Are you ever up on the holding?
Only metaphorically.
Yes, good. Because you're not doing your upper body stuff as much as other people should be doing.
How do you know?
I can tell. Sitting right next to you.
Okay.
I can tell. That ain't you. That's for sure. Well, anyway, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's great that they've put the aerial stuff into theatrics. I think that's
it makes
great.
it much more
Especially
theatrical.
Shakespeare, you know.
And we've got there's another play running in town right now out at the university. They're doing the old classic American play.
Our Town
by Thornton Wilder in the brand new theater.
That was opening at the Center for the Arts, the Mark and Stephanie Medoff Center for the Arts. Theater.
They got.
I think it's called Center of the Arts.
Theater's named after them.
Yeah.
And yes, it's unfortunate that they apparently cut too many corners when they built the theater. There's
knock
some
it already.
terrible sight lines that.
In the theater itself.
Yes, you're sitting in some of the seats, you really can't see what's going on.
I've heard that the building
inexcusable.
itself, people have been slamming the outside architecture because they see the rustic, crazy stuff, and then the red and the green. But inside, I hear it works really nice. I heard it was.
I hear it looks wonderful inside. Apparently, it just doesn't work as well as it should.
Well, the Herschel Zone rehearsal hall, because they took out the Herschel Zone Theater, and they're going to give it to
the Domenici.
So far, they're going to call it Domenici until they get him on moral charge. But the Herschel Zone rehearsal place, when kids go there to rehearse, they'll say, "I'm going to go into the zone."
The Herschel Zone.
I'm going to be in the zone, and that's it. That's my zone.
I see. Well,
that's how that's going to work.
Yes, and some of those kids, I started college when I was 17 years old.
And when did you end? About 34? How old were you?
Oh, wait, am I finished?
17? Are you still rehearsing
for
your degree?
I was thrown out of college for cheating, Michael.
Yes, but
it was a delicate situation because it was with the dean's wife. And I don't want to go into it any further than that.
Right, before I get talk about it.
But no, 17-year-olds start college usually, and now there's work afoot to allow 17-year-olds to vote in presidential primaries.
The interest, well, that's Jeff Steinborn's proposal. So it's possible for a 17-year-old to miss the primary but vote in the general election. You know,
If they turn 18.
I think it's an interesting idea because you're getting into the process at an early stage in life where you have some say. The primary is an interesting thing to be in, but most people don't even vote in the primary.
That's true. There's too many selections to make, maybe. But, you know, 17-year-olds, with their parents' permission, can join the military and go off and fight a war. So why shouldn't they be allowed to vote for the very thing they're giving their lives for, perhaps?
Well, you know, that's one of those arguments that doesn't necessarily make sense because they say if you're 17 or 18 and you can go risk your life to vote, to be in a war, why can't you drink? There's that argument. And so we know that there are many more arguments.
We know why they can't do that.
Quid pro quo. We know they can't do that because of the statistics of drunk driving.
Well, you know,
that's the only reason.
The 21-year-olds going to college right now don't know how to drink either.
Or drive.
I've talked to many of the cab drivers here in town that give them rides because they can get free rides on the weekend because they're drunk. And they usually throw up in the cab, or they have to stop the cab so they can throw up outside. And
these are 21-year-olds?
They haven't learned how to drink yet. They just drink until they puke.
I think they should have classes in college on how to drink.
That's what a fraternity is for, isn't it?
No, it's to teach you to get really sick over one particular alcohol, and then later in life you go, I'll never drink tequila again.
Well, I went through that phase in college several times.
Did you swear off tequila and vodka, and then you had to relearn how to drink?
I swore off Jose Cuervo, and I've kept to that to this very day.
Well, see, that doesn't make sense either.
No, it does.
Well, because you got sick then. If you drink in moderation, you don't get sick.
I can't stand to smell it to this day.
I can't stand the smell of rye, and that's just because my first experience of that was these old guys drinking rye, and you go, and also rye doesn't smell very good.
How about rye bread? Can you eat that?
I love rye bread,
okay.
But that's mostly caraway seeds.
So do you think or not think the 17-year-olds should be able to vote?
I say give it to them. It's a little fun. It's not going to make too much. It may make more difference. More people who advocate the legalization of marijuana will probably get in.
Well, you know, I wish that our high schools would teach citizenship classes so that by the time they're 17, they might have some sort of a grasp on how the political world works.
I would say the trouble with teaching citizenship is it depends on your teacher who's teaching it to see how good of a citizen you're going to be. It's like teaching morality. You can't really teach morality. You can talk about different types of morality.
Well,
anyway, I'm glad I'm old enough to vote in the primary.
Do you vote?
I am not. I love voting.
Well, look at all the people who are old enough and don't exercise their right to vote. What's that all about?
The right is that they hate all government, but there's no way to avoid government. It's a fact of life. The same way as we have water, air, and soil to grow food, we need government because civilization thrives on it.
Well, you know, my mother used to say, if you don't vote, you're not allowed to complain. I don't know. Is that true? No, I think you can still complain.
Everybody complains. I would complain about not being able to complain if I couldn't complain. So
is that what you're complaining about now?
You haven't really said anything of substance, so I wait for that. And
yes, that makes two of us.
What do you? Well, at least we agree.
We usually agree on things.
Matt. So are you for this voting for underage teenagers? Really?
To vote? Well, I'd be willing to consider it. I'm probably more for it than I'm against it.
The thing is, they would have to have been 18 at the election date. So
by November 7th,
yes,
basically.
So primaries are somewhat like 5 or 6 months before.
So if their birthday is one day later, they wouldn't be able to vote.
No, but that happens anyway.
Well, there has to be some sort of a cutoff.
Anyway,
we have something else to talk about.
Yes,
because we only have 4 minutes left.
As long as we're choosing things, choosing people in our government. The Reader's Choice voted. You know, you complain about the Reader's Choice and say that, well, this is what the Sun News has done to us. But we have the opinions to, stuff the ballot boxes.
This is the Sun News Reader's Choice Awards. They printed ballots in the paper last year.
We're going to argue. Last year? And it was about a month ago.
Whenever it was.
Well, it's close enough to last year.
And they printed 2 pages worth of the winners here.
So there are some things that one could agree with. Asian food, mixed Pacific Rim Chinese or cuisine is pretty good.
Well, here's one thing. They have 2 pages of the actual list. Then they spend 40 pages on ads and advertising and articles about all the people who are in this.
I like some of them. Everybody likes some of them. Like Citizens Bank won the best bank. I like Citizens Bank.
They're fine.
Ranchway Barbecue, best barbecue. Well, that might not be so, but
Right.
Ranchway is a really good restaurant.
But let's face it, this Reader's Choice list is just an excuse for the Sun News to print an advertising supplement with all the people that are in here.
You know, people come into this town, they don't know where to go, they've never heard of most of these places, Sea Italian Bistro, Double Eagle, Days Hamburgers. I mean, they won for hamburgers. And Days is one of the oldest restaurants, if you can call it that. It used to just be
It's a hamburger joint.
luncheonette, kind of. It was near the Cotton Gins when it first started.
That's true. They're
Remember
famous
that?
for the green chili hamburgers.
Everybody's famous for green
And
chili
right here,
hamburgers.
favorite radio station, KGRT.
Well, K-Great because that's country.
Now,
What about KRWG, which is all the old people listen to?
well, let's face it. Most of these stores that won, they just got their employees to fill out the ballots.
Well,
And-
not probably Barb's Flowerland. How many employees could Barb's Flowerland?
Well, they get all their friends to do it. But there's nothing in here about a favorite television show.
Yes. Where
Favorite
is
television
that?
host.
Yes.
And-
Who's that? They don't even know our names. Got to put our names in.
Right. So this is really not a
Vote.
complete list at all.
But what they do have is admirable. Glenn Cutter for antiques. We like Glenn Cutter. We like Lorenzo's.
Best enchilada red, best enchilada green.
Yeah. Well, that's a hard thing. We all have our favorites.
I disagree with the green one, frankly.
Yeah. Best hotel. Hotel Encantado. Well, I would say that's true. It's the only real hotel-y thing that's kind of tall. Some of these things have the monopoly in Las Cruces anyway, like I think Comet Cleaners are pretty much, there's not that many cleaners.
Well,
There's
they
one
have-
guy up on Main Street that
they
you
could-
get your shirts done at, right?
Once in a while.
Oh, and the funeral home, Getz, they must have stuffed it because I think more people get buried in grams. I don't know.
I don't know about
Not
that.
in the place, but via the place.
Stuffed it with stiffs.
I don't know. So there's interesting things that's worth going over. Here we are reading stuff.
Favorite attorney, Larry Ramirez and Jeff Lahan. Now, how did 2 of them get chosen? It must have been a tie.
Yeah, they must be in the same office. They just paired up. How did 2 people win the Academy, the Oscars? There was a tie,
There's a tie
in Oscars, yeah.
in effects.
So that's good. So anyway, we'll be back in
Next week.
in a whole week, and hope everybody goes to see Midsummer Night's Dream.
We'll see you there.
Mark will be there.
And until next week, that's it for Double Talk.